What's up, guys? JR Raymond back again, coming to you from home, where today I want to talk to you about practice. I know it's practice. Who the hell practices, right? Why do we need to talk about practice? Well, most people don't know how to practice. So I am going to tell you what I do, and I'm going to give you some tips and some pointers on the things that you should probably be trying to do during your practice sessions as well. Stay tuned. Hey guys, real quick, I'm giving away a ball of choice to whoever is lucky enough to win. All you got to do is click that join button down there to be entered to win, and then there's going to be a link in the description. A link in the description down here where you can click that link to sign up for that drawing where I'm going to draw one lucky winner. The drawing ends on the 31st. So this Sunday, that drawing ends, and I will draw that following week for somebody to win a ball of choice from bowlerx.com. The ball has to be available at bowlerx.com for you to be able to win it. So make sure to click that join button, join the membership, click that link in the description to be able to get your name in the drawing, and I appreciate all the support and everything. So here we go. Let's talk about practice. All right, so when I go to practice, I've got a few different goals in mind. Now, I always set at least two goals or at least two things that I want to work on when I practice. One is almost always shot making. That's always the one thing that I'm working on. The other thing is a combination of different things depending on what happened in previous events. If I had timing issues that I was struggling with through the whole time, I would be working on my tempo and my timing to make sure my push away was going in the right direction, all those things, as well as making shots. If it's a physical game issue that I'm working on, I always work on that first, and then I move on to the shot making. Shot making is always part of it because you want to improve that every single time that you are out bowling. So if it's not a physical game thing, then I'm working on maybe like different releases. I'm working on consistency with the release at the bottom, or I'm working on angles through the front. Whatever it may be, whatever you're working on, it doesn't really matter. You've just got to set specific goals for them. So if I'm working on, let's call it tempo, timing. If I'm working on those things, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go do my no step at the line. I'm going to do my releases from the foul line. I'm going to do a one step for about 5, probably do 10 of each, let's say. 10 at the foul line. More like, if it's tempo, it's probably just going to be 5 at the foul line, 5 one steps, 5 3 steps, and then 5 4 steps with the ball down by my side. I'll show you all these drills in a separate video, and then a full 5, and then 5 full 5 step approaches. I only move on from each element once I feel like I mastered each one. So once I do 5 perfect shots that I really think are great, I will move on to the next step. So once I do 5 perfect full approaches, then I can move on to my accuracy drills, because now I know I've went through all my drills, I've went through all the issues that I feel I had in the previous tournament, and I fix it. Let's say you had a tournament and you had trouble shooting spares. The first half of your practice session should be shooting those spares. What spares did you struggle with? Did you leave a lot of 3-6-10s and chop the 3-6-10? Your first 20 shots should probably be shooting at that 3-6-10, making sure your angles are right, making sure you're flattening your hand the right way, or whatever it is you're doing for the release, making sure your plastic ball is going the right direction. Do we need to change some things in the thumb? What do we got to do? Look at those things. Well, practice for me is always goal specific. Now, most times when you guys watch my live practices and stuff, you'll notice that I don't shoot at spares until the very end. And even then, I'm probably only shooting at 3, 4, 5 spares just to make sure the ball's going off my hand in the right direction to make my spares, to make sure it's going at a straight angle from point A to point B, good to go. If I make my spares, if I do those things, people that watched my last video saw I shot at a 2-8 and I shot straight at it because that's my test. And you see I'll shoot at a 10 pin going straight up 1, 2, 3, because that's my test. If I can do those things, my spare game's fine. I know I have control of what my ball's going to do, where's my ball's going to go. So you need to find little tests for yourself to make sure that you know what you're going to be doing. Never do you want to actually be practicing just trying to throw strike after strike after strike. The only time I think I'm okay with something like that is if you've put a sport pattern out, like I had today, bull down 41-foot pattern, and I was showing how to get lined up or what I think about during my process of figuring out which ball to throw, what angle to play, those types of things. Then you're going to try to strike, because then you're going to try to move and make the transition moves throughout. After that video, I bowled another 5 games, and I didn't shoot my spares, but I was trying to stay ahead of transition, watch what my ball was doing, pay attention to how these newer bowling balls that I drilled were reading the middle of the lane. Was one overreacting from another? Those types of things. Just about every single practice you have, you should be paying attention to ball motion. You should be paying attention to trying to make sure, okay, this ball is, too similar to this ball, or this ball is, this much different than this ball in these situations. Bowl on different patterns and stuff. And I know somebody's going to say, yeah, but I don't ever have a bowling center that puts fresh oil out, or they don't ever put a sport pattern out for me. How do I get to practice on these things? Well, unfortunately, I think your only option then is to spend money bowling sweepers and stuff that's going to be bowling on, tough patterns. Find some tournaments on the weekends, and you're just going to have to spend a little money. That's what I had to do. I didn't have anybody to put any sport patterns out for me when I was growing up before heading to college. All I did was spend every dollar I had practicing, and all I focused on were physical game things, accuracy, control. The lane play stuff, I had to learn based on experience, just from bowling events. So I spent all my money bowling Brian Regan sweepers, MSBS sweepers, in tournaments and stuff like that. I traveled from northern Michigan all the way to the Detroit area pretty much every weekend to go bowl something. And that's a 3.5, 4-hour drive every single weekend. But yet I did it in order to gain the experience. I lost money for a little bit, and then I ended up making a bunch of money because I was learning and getting better and doing the things that needed to be done. Practice isn't just practice at a bowling center, at your local bowling center on a house shot. Practice can be at a sweeper that you're spending $40 on, and you're learning something from it. Those days are more important than actual practice. Live practice is so much better than the practice at a bowling center when you're just bowl throwing shot after shot, because you can learn from your experience of watching what your bowling balls do and seeing in certain situations what your bowling ball's doing. So you got some guys who say they really don't practice at all. They just make sure that they bowl something, a sweeper or two every week, and they bowl something on the weekend every weekend. That's more than enough bowling for most people. For me to commit, I have to bowl at least 5-6 days a week. I've got to practice at least 4 days a week, and then I got to bowl the 2 days on the weekend. So it's got to be a lot of bowling for me, because I've got some weird little quirks in my game, some intricacies that just don't, they're not the most smooth, technically sound techniques on the planet, so I have to put a little bit more time in than most. I haven't put enough time in over the last, let's call it, 6 years. I just haven't. I've had a lot of things that's been going on between family life and everything else. I didn't have the time, and I chose other things instead of bowling. Now I'm back on the roots of my mind is back set on bowling. My motivation is set back on bowling. I'm not getting any younger. I'm going to have to try and see if I can't make something of this over the next 10 years and see what we can come away with. So I want to show you guys how I practice. This is how I do it. If you haven't seen that video, that live video from earlier about how I warm up and try to read the lane pattern, go watch that live from earlier today. And try to get an idea there. But this is all I have for you. I just want to make sure when you guys go practice that you set yourself some goals. Try to work on the things that you're not good at. Don't sit there and constantly do your A game stuff. Don't work on your A game, because that A game's always going to be there. You can work on your A game at the end, but make sure you work on your B, C, D, and E games before you work on your A game ever. Work on the A game, throw your best shots at the end, and remember to always end on a great shot. You don't want to end up on a bad shot. You don't want to end frustrated. You want to end happy with your practice session. Throw a great shot, one that you did everything perfect before you end. If you can't throw a great shot, you're going to be there all night. Because I promise you, if you end on a bad shot, your confidence is going to not be very good when you go back to bowl again the next day or whatever event you go to that weekend. So pay attention, do the right things, get better at bowling, spend the money on bowling. Don't worry about it. It'll come back. If you focus on it, if you stick with it, you will get better. So I'm out of here. We'll see you guys later.